Hey everybody, this is Revengeance and welcome to American Horror Story Live. This week it is Return to Murder House, and yes, we finally figured out what was going on, and don't laugh because it was my beat. It was a little bit, oh, I got some, hang on, let me turn down my speakers. Well, get rid of that feedback there. It was a little bit of Hangouts and it was a little bit of operator error, but we're not going to pay attention to that. Welcome back, everybody, though, for another week, and we're going back to Murder House. Welcome, Stacey. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hello again, everybody. Thank you so much for being patient. I know we're starting a lot later than normal, but we're here. Let's get her done.
Oh, she went all Larry the Cable Guy on us there. And yeah, so we've been really excited. We've been waiting a very long time, like all season, for this episode. So we're really excited to talk to you guys about it. For one reason we've been excited is we're going back to season 1. Yeah, there you go, Johnny. It's your fault. We're going to blame you. Blame the wet boy. We're going back to Murder House, which was season 1 and which was in LA. And the Montgomery house. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. We got Jessica Lange. We've been waiting very excitedly and very, very patiently for Jessica Lange to pop up. So yeah, and I just kind of want to jump right into this episode and get going. So are you ready, Stacey?
Totally ready. Totally.
All right, so let's do this. So the whole episode, like, it starts off at the beginning. First of all, I was kind of disappointed not to see everybody's favorite realtor, her little real estate lady. She was not there. Kind of made me wonder if maybe she was one of the 36 bodies that the new realtor guy was talking about, or maybe she just got tired of talking about it completely and having everybody kind of give her crap about that house, you know? But they did kind of give a disclosure that they weren't going to be responsible for that house right off the bat, huh?
I felt bad for this guy for having to so-called, break all this news to them as if they didn't know, because he has to treat them like everybody else, right? He has to just believe in his, his mind and his heart that, that they're just knowledgeless about this house. And what's funny is, Madison seemed very flippant about the house and the history, like she knew a lot, until he told her that there were 36 people that died, and she seemed really thrown off by that part of it. So she knew, but she didn't really know, and I felt like the realtor did his job. I thought it was a pretty funny exchange between them. Like, after he got that all out, he was like, house sold, So
yeah, you could. And he was really excited, especially. He's like, okay, your wire transfer came through, so everything's good. Full disclosure, So yeah, that was a little funny. And he mentioned that there was 36 ghosts. I want to, or 36 murders, and suicides in this house. I want to bring up right off the bat that as of season 1, we only had a total number of 26. So that's 10 unaccountable ghosts that we don't know about, or deaths that we don't know about. I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's just some of other residents, maybe. Like we see the couple later on, the 2 women. Oh, I forget their names now, but the 2 women that we see kind of vaporize. Yeah. If maybe they're included in that, or who else was there post season 1, rather.
Well, just remember, thank goodness, I finally got around to starting my rewatch of season 1. And just like the twin boys who kind of wandered into the house to go and walk around in there and make a mess of things, there were probably other people like that just aren't accounted for, period. So, who knows? Who knows where those other 10 are?
Yeah, and I want to say something real quick. 3 is definitely a big number, and yeah, I caught on to that too, because it all kind of seems to be a little multiple of there. And that I'm going to bring up later, because it kind of plays into the whole Black Mass, and it kind of seems to be mocking the whole Holy Trinity, which is what the Black Mass does. But we'll get into that a little bit later with the 3s. yeah, it I'm kind of interested too because like we do later on we see Constance's daughter and she's obviously one of them too. So I wonder if they even know about that. Um,
That was a little surprising, to be honest with you, because I don't remember. I
we
guess I
never
just
see
thought,
her.
yeah. So it was kind of a shocker because when we saw her, she was in the background and her face was kind of like shadowed a bit. So you're wondering about her, and you know that Constance was a mother 4 times over. And when they finally showed her, I was like, oh my God, where's her eye? What happened?
I know, and Brian Murphy actually, I believe it was either Instagram or Twitter. Her name's Rose, which I thought was really cool because of all the roses and how Constance was just obsessed with the roses later, you know.
And all of the rose references we've had to this point too.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we don't really know. I mean, what happened with her eyes? That was kind of creepy. But you know, they mentioned her having a fourth child in season 1, but that was all we knew. We didn't know anything. But just I think the way that Constance was obsessed with beauty in season 1 too, it just it seemed kind of right that she had like the little beauty pageant sort of daughter. And it made me wonder too if maybe that's why she didn't have her eyes, if it kind of had something to do with that. It just seemed kind of fitting, I guess. It was a little interesting. But
you know, the eyes, you know what? There's also been talk about the eyes, right? And I really just had this feeling like maybe there was something evil that she saw that she wasn't supposed to see. And maybe that's why she doesn't have eyes anymore.
the nun in asylum too with the bleeding eyes.
Yeah. I mean, that comes from the bleeding Jesus, the eyes bleeding and stuff.
Yeah. They like to play on that though a lot.
Yeah, but I just wonder if that might be the case, that she saw something she wasn't supposed to see, and that's how, maybe it was to do with Michael. I mean, she was young. I don't know. She looked like she was young, but you don't really know when she was born and where she fits into this whole, number of children that Constance had. So I don't know if it was, pre-Tate, after Tate, where she fit in. Was she older than Bo, or was she the first child? And I mean, the first child that we're exposed to is Addie in this season,
right.
anyway. And you're talking like she was school aged in the 1970s. So I just wonder where this child fits into all of that. And I would like to see a little bit more explanation on that. But the eyes being gone, I think that's, that's because there was some sort of evil that she saw.
I like what Peter says over here about see no evil. She's too innocent to see the evil in that house. I think that's a really good explanation right there.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was going with it, but that's more eloquent.
Yeah, that's a good way. I want to say, first of all, that I really love the back and forth between Behold and Madison. I think they're probably my favorite odd couple to date on the show.
They have great chemistry.
They really do. They really do.
Yeah.
It made me want to go clubbing with them. It really did.
Yeah. I mean, for as much as I didn't like Madison, I liked her exchanges with him because they made sense. She wasn't just being an idiot, and he was, kind of like putting it back in her face, the way that she was trying to be an ASS to him. So I'm just saying.
It seems like the third time's a charm for her. There's that 3 again, by the way. Yeah. This is her third life she's on now. Yeah. They were talking a little bit about just how, first of all, when they tried to go in the house, you seen how they used their magic to open the gate. It would not work to open the door.
Yeah.
That was really interesting because we see later how when they come to do the black mass and all, that they can use their magic there. And Behold even tells Madison later that since he's been there, that his magic it's kind of been on the fritz. It hasn't been working right.
Yeah.
So it made me wonder, at least, and I kind of have this thought that maybe it's because of something to do with the dark magic that is surrounding it all, and maybe that's why.
I'd agree.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Okay. So we're kind of on the same page with that then.
Yep.
Especially with the whole lingering Michael and all. Now when it gets to, did you notice the coat of arms on the door? I kind of got a little obsessed with it.
No, I didn't. I saw it, but I didn't have a second thought about it. But go ahead. Tell us.
Yeah. Now I went looking and I looked up Montgomery and I looked up Murphy just to see. It turns out that it's actually just because of this house. This house has been used in a lot of other movies and TV shows and everything. And you've even seen it in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it's the actual coat of arms for the family that owned the house, if anyone's interested. But I was thinking maybe it might have something to do. My first thought was it was the Montgomery coat of arms. Then second, I thought maybe it's Murphy for Ryan Murphy, just nice little Easter egg sort of thing. But it actually has to do with the original family that owned the house there and the actual house in Los Angeles, which is a really cool house. Like, it really is just, if you're interested in architecture or just film history and stuff like that, that kind of Hollywood history, check it out sometimes because it is really just a badass house. Good luck, Johnny. Thank you guys for coming by. Let's see. Whenever they're going to, like, we see Behold and her going upstairs, they're talking about just that the whole house basically has a bad vibe to it and bad juju, and they don't like the feel of it. They're already getting a sense that their soul's trapped there. To me, this episode was not just fan fiction as far as, or fanfare, sorry. It was confirmation to fan fiction that this is limbo. You know, because we've heard the little theories and everything and carrying on about the different ideas about what's going on throughout the seasons. And I think that season 1 now, this was our confirmation. Mm-hmm. Did you get any ideas or anything about that?
No, I just felt like they were going to have a rough time to begin with. I mean, just from the time they walked up to the doors, just walking around and getting this eerie sense of everything, because it was the first time that either of them had been in the house. And no matter what you think you know about that house, you know, just from their perspective, I could see where it would just kind of rattle them a bit and throw them off, to be confronted with these spirits that are locked inside this house, and the vibrations and the energy. And Behold says, you know, the psychic energy was something like he'd never experienced before. Just that alone kind of threw them off their game. I feel like they felt like maybe, you know, they weren't going to be so powerful against the spirit of this house, if you will, the collective spirits. So that was kind of my thought about it.
Right. And they mentioned that like whenever, which I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but when they were talking to Billie Dean, you know, she said that she was a friend of the house and its occupants even.
Yeah.
So that showed itself that the house has a life of its own.
Yeah.
But they were kind of talking about how, you know, they could feel just everybody trapped there, you know, so it just made me think a lot more of that. It is kind of a purgatory limbo sort of place, you know, and the fact that they had to go and do the ritual. Well, first of all, I was curious who shut the door behind them, because later on we see Ben shut the front door behind the new couple that moved in. So, you know, especially because they weren't showing themselves to them. They weren't making themselves known. And they had to do that ritual to get anyone to show themselves to them, right. Which kind of made it a little interesting. And if anyone's interested, what they were saying when they did the ritual was, of the spirits of monsters, you shouldn't hide. And I thought that was pretty cool, because their whole purpose in going to the murder house, first of all, was to learn more about their new boy supreme, as Madison calls him, Michael Langdon. And yeah, it is kind of like another it is kind of another gateway to hell sort of thing going on. I don't know if it's sort of a, I don't know if it's a gateway though. I feel like the Hotel Cortez is more of a gateway, and this is more of a prison.
They called it a portal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I consider a gateway, is a portal. But I feel like, I don't know. See, I feel like the Hotel Cortez was more. Mm-hmm. It was more.
It had a lot of the same features as Murder House. So in other words, you take what you know about Murder House and you apply it to the hotel, and you're pretty much looking at two of the same, right? Except that one has transients that are coming and going, and not always coming and going. They're coming and staying. And, you know, the house is, you know, people who are there specifically to stay there.
Right.
So there's you know, that contrast. But yeah, I mean, if you look at them, they're, you know, they're almost one and the same.
Yeah. It's just, I know, I just think of it like, I guess one I think of more like a cell phone and one more like a cell phone tower, if that makes sense. It's just it's the how big they are to me, I guess. But it's because of how many people are in and out of there. Because like with the Hotel Cortez, it was able to bring in even the serial killers that came and rounded up there on Halloween. But the Murder House, it draws people and it gets their curiosity and stuff with the tours and everything. But the only people it trapped people there and kept people there to where they could only escape on Halloween. You know, it was more like a curse, where the Hotel Cortez was more like a nest, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking that the Hotel Cortez is the actual hell?
Yeah. If anything, that would be like the mouth, the opening too.
Okay. I could get behind that, because I feel like, you know, the way that everyone describes the house is kind of like, you know, a smaller version of that, and maybe, you know, yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah. And okay, so let's go ahead and we see them. We'll start going through who we see first. Okay, yeah, we start off and immediately we see Ben and Tate. That was great. I thought it was kind of funny. Well, first we see the nurse. She was the first one to show up. One of the nurses. There was two nurses.
Yeah, one of the nurses.
But they didn't really notice her so much, I guess. And and the twins. We've seen the twins.
Mm-hmm.
Then
it wasn't the twins. It was not the twins. It was the daughters that were killed in the fire.
Oh, was it? I thought it was the twins.
No,
I
it was
forgot about the daughters.
Yeah, Larry's daughters that he burned in their beds.
Ooh, good catch, good catch, good catch. See, I just seen the two of them. I was like, oh, it's the twins.
Yeah, because the twins were glasses. The twins didn't burn, but the girls did, and you could see that they were still, like, you know, kind of burning even in death, which was kind of creepy.
Yeah, they all seem to carry those scars over. That's like the only thing I didn't understand is, and I guess because I'm blaming special effects, but where Moira, she got shot through the eye, but I like that they made her eye kind of cloudy, you know?
Yeah.
But we've seen, you know, where she actually lost her eye. And when we seen Ben and Tate, they were kind of fun because it was like the therapy was still continuing, and they're still complaining about the same thing, which was Ben was still whining over Vivian's not talking to him, and Tate still complaining because Violet's ignoring him.
Those Harmon women.
I know, right?
So difficult.
You know I'm going to geek out over Tate this episode, right? Just because, you know, I'm going to. But I'm not going to jump in right now. Now, neither of them kind of want to give any information, but I love the whole line about the tearjerker, because Ben doesn't want to. first of all, Tate just kind of is like, it doesn't matter if you have magic or not. You guys, you shouldn't be here. It's not a good idea. You know, your magic isn't going to help you.
Right. Yep.
So it was really interesting because they're the first people we've seen to leave this house. And then Ben, he doesn't get any sympathy. He's like, all I do is masturbate and cry in front of the window every day. I'm not helping you at all. Why should I? We find out later. Right, the tearjerker.
That's a tearjerker right there.
That was like my favorite line, I think, the whole episode. The tearjerker, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was really funny because Madison was like, oh, we should help him. And he's like, the tearjerker? And she's like, no. She actually had a soft spot for Tate. And it made me wonder, is it because, you know, it reminds her of Kyle and later on of Zoe? Or does she not see it at all? And it made me wonder, is it because of all the deaths and she's been in hell that long and she don't see it? Or does she really not see it?
You know what? I hate to say it, but it's probably just in the writing. You know, I imagine that they would have to be told, hey, look, you're going to be faced with these people in a different role, okay? And they're going to look familiar, but you got to treat them as if you don't know them and you don't know which role they are. You know what I mean? Like that, to me, it was really cheesy and stupid. I felt like something should at least pop in their minds, like, oh, you look familiar, or something like that. You look like someone I know. Yeah, at least that little degree. But they didn't do that, and I just figure it has to be in the way that they were told to react to, you know, to seeing these people in different roles.
And see, as I was thinking about like the kind of like her soul recognized theirs or something like that, but it's like we don't even know what happened to Kyle at this point.
No.
And with him being brought back kind of not right, what would he be like? His soul's kind of damaged now, right?
Right? He was staying and helping at the house.
Yeah, he became the new butler.
And it was, the house was destroyed in Cordelia's vision. So maybe, just maybe, he was part of that annihilation.
Right. Maybe. I wonder though, because he was kind of undead already, so maybe the nuclear winter thing wouldn't affect him the way it would the others. See, that's like a whole nother can of worms right there. So yeah. All right, let's move along. Okay, and then we see Beauregard. Beauregard pops up and wants to play ball. Kind of brings Madison out a little bit there.
Playing fetch like an animal, okay?
Right?
And Billy Dean treated him like an animal, kind of like how Constance treated him when he was up in the attic. That just really,
like the only one that treated him decent was Violet and Tate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Billy Dean, she comes in, Billy Dean Howard, and she's like, I'm, like I said earlier, a friend of the house, a friend of the residents of the house, and one of the few living people that it allows to come and go as they please. And we know that she's a medium who Constance has been bringing around for a long time because she wanted to make contact with her son before. Well, with Tate before, let me say, because Beauregard is her son also. That's the one that she used to keep locked in the attic. She's Mother of the Year, isn't she? She calls herself later the Mother of Monsters, though. That's her self-proclaimed title. It seems fitting, I guess. The one that seemed she was most ashamed of was probably the most beautiful of all, and that was Addie, right?
You know, probably the youngest daughter. Well, the one that we see as a ghost is the youngest. And I can't help but feel like maybe she was intimidated by her daughter's beauty too. And something that I noticed is they showed the room, the little closet that she used to put Addie in. And it had, you know, broken mirrors in there and everything. And I'm just kind of wondering, you know, did Addie break those? Because Addie always made complaints about how she looked, and her mom spent time trying to make her feel good about herself, and you know that she was, and until she got mad at her, And then she would remind her that she's, you know, substandard as a child. So it just seems to me, and she really went on about Tate's looks too. So, you know, about the good looking guy with the mop top and the sweater when she was describing Tate. So really she does. And, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. And
I could totally see her as a pageant mom. That's what Rose, the little girl, reminded me of, actually. Is she just the way she was dressed and everything. She reminded me of one of them little pageant girls.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that little girl that used to be on TV all the time? I know you know who I'm talking about.
But younger. Oh yeah. I don't even want to say names. Let's not say.
I know.
Names.
Yeah, but that's what I thought about. That's what
I know what you're talking about. H starts with an H. So anyway,
yeah.
but for me, I didn't get that same thing about the pageant girl. I got that maybe she was, you know, a little traditional looking. So maybe, you know, she was born longer ago than we think. And maybe she's the one that actually prevented Constance from, you know, achieving her dreams. Because she did talk about that, about, you know, broken dreams, unfulfilled dreams, unfulfilled promises, all that stuff. And I'm thinking maybe this was the child that did that for her. And maybe
she could have been a child actress too, because she had the dreams of being an actress herself too. Remember?
Yeah. So, you know, the ill will and everything. So, so I just kind of feel like that was projected on that child.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. I'd like to hear more about her too. I'm kind of hoping we will in a later season on some degree. With Ryan Murphy, we probably will. The next one we seen, which was what we've all been waiting for, at least I was, and that was Jessica Lange finally popped up, and we seen Constance Langdon, and her first thing she said is, "What are y'all doing in my house?"
Yep.
And she declared herself loud and proud about that. And she was complaining, as always, about the help. Moira was getting on her nerves as usual, and Moira's response was, "I'm not here to dust your house. I'm here to please your husband in the basement." And then she's...
That was a great line. That was
right,
great.
I know, wasn't it?
You could tell it pissed her off to no end to know that too.
I
like
know.
The woman she hated more than anything was there to just bother her for the rest of her afterlife. She did a good job to get rid of her, but still,
she told him.
I thought it was great.
She told him too. You want me to talk to you? Then abracadabra her ass out of here.
Yeah.
And that's what they were going to do, and so. Yeah, Billy Dean's telling them, you know, it's going to be more than a minute that you're going to be waiting, and so that's what they go to do. They go to dig up Moira's bones to get information out of Constance. Now, something that was pretty cool about this, first of all, number one, they decided not to just banish her to a closet and bind her there to the closet. They decided to actually free her. Mm-hmm. She's the only person we've seen freed from this place. Yeah. And the first bones that they pull out, the first skull, is, we know it's Hayden, right? So that was a nice little nod to her. And Madison feels the vibrations and tosses her to the side. I love that moment because Hayden was just a bitch.
Well, she was also tossed to the side by Ben too. So just saying.
Yes. She didn't like Ben to begin with. So yeah, and she was, yeah. And then they get Moira's bones and they go in there and they're like, "Okay, you've got an enemy. What do you want to do? Here's your bones." And she's so grateful. And now we've seen Madison already this season didn't want to be hugged very much by Cordelia, of all people, but she didn't seem to mind so much for Moira, you know.
The little pat on the head though, like, "You're slobbering on my dress." That was, you know what? That was pretty funny too. Like, that's me. I'm not a touchy-feely person. So like, I totally related to her in that moment. Like, okay, okay, yeah, go. get.
Like, yep, thanks. Just pat her on the head.
You're welcome. Now go.
By the way, all my February babies over there, Emma Roberts, who plays Madison, another February baby. Her birthday is day before mine, February 10th. So yeah, Kimmy, that's 2 days before you. And so yeah, we like that actress now. And Moira.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got a February baby in there too now.
I do.
Yeah. It's another February baby. And Moira wants to be in the one place where she's always wanted to be, and that's with her mom. And it kind of shocks them that she wants to be buried in a cemetery of all places. Something I thought that was really interesting about this is when she's finally buried there and with her mother, the first thing she says is she can finally breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a nice exchange between her and her mom. I really, even though she was admitting to her mom, you know, what she did, her mom was thankful for it. So I felt like, you know, that was something that just kind of needed to help put her soul, literally her soul, at ease. And I really like the symbolism of them crossing the bridge together, going into the afterlife together in happiness, really. So that to me, I thought that was a good moment. I liked it.
Me too. It was like it was like she finally found her peace, and that was she got her forgiveness too, which was something that she really felt bad about with her mother, because you know it was what she needed. And I think out of anyone in that house, she probably deserved it more than anybody.
Yeah.
I really liked Moira. It was just probably the best moment for them. That was my fan moment, I think, other than seeing Constance. Yeah. And yeah, Fiona is a badass too. I definitely agree there.
But it actually says a lot, though, because first, like you said, this is the first person who's been released from the house, first of all. So we know that it
tells us they can be now. We know that they can be.
But we know that it's possible, but not just that. So Moira was stuck in her personal hell, and she was released to go into to cross that bridge to a better afterlife. So she may, because she got that forgiveness, and that's something, you know, if you believe in religion, you know, you seek repentance and everything, right? So that you know, but you try to do it before death. I mean, if you're shot untimely and you have an untimely death, you don't really have much room for that if you know, and if you're not thinking about it during your life. So to me, it was sort of like a religious, it had a little bit of a religious overtone to it too. And then the idea of, you know, crossing the bridge, that's
the bridge was really cool, I thought. And just how she kind of, the whole ethereal, it was like she went into the ethereal realm there, just how they had all the mist and everything over there. I just really like that.
Heaven. You know, if it seemed like it was going to be her little piece of heaven, and her heaven would be away from Constance to begin with, I would think. So I think she was thanking Madison, not so much for, you know, for releasing her from Constance, but giving her to a better afterlife. So yeah, that was positive.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that, of course, got Constance to start talking too. We finally found out what happened with Michael, and I think that's probably what happened with those mirrors. I've thought about that one too, because Michael was in that same closet when he was a baby too. It made me wonder if she ever threw him in that closet.
The likelihood.
She kind of seemed partial to the boys, though, didn't she? A little more.
I think that, well, number one, again, she talked about his beauty as a child, and she compared to him to a little angel.
Okay? He is the most beautiful boy, yeah.
And for her to put him as a young baby in that closet, you know, I don't think that she did that as he got older, because I think she was getting scared of him as he got older and started increasing in his killing of, you know, living things. And
Right.
she knew that if she kept it up, and she said it would be something as simple as, you know, correcting his grammar one more time, he'd slit my throat. There's no way she's going to put him in that closet, you know, if he wasn't in a crib, and you know, and if he was capable of defending himself in some way, she certainly wouldn't give it a second thought. So I don't think that she would have done that. I think that was a closet more so for the girls.
Yeah, well, that's what I think too. And she was talking about she was talking about how he started off pulling the wings off of flies in his crib. Then he started with, what was it, dead rats and squirrels and stuff like that, the small animals. And I just thought it was going to be your garden variety serial killer, maybe even a gifted one. Yeah. And she was proud of that. She was so proud. And then he started freaking out. And yeah, like you said, the whole man thing. So it's like she got scared of punishing him after a while.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows what kind of just fucked up punishments that she was doing to begin with. And we already know, like we were talking about the whole closet thing. But he was legit freaking her out.
And that's why she took her own life, was because she was afraid he was going to come for her next. She knew. She said, I know. Yeah, she said, I know which evolutionary tree he's getting ready to climb. And she, you know, she alluded to, you know, serial killers. Who was it that she meant?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer and and Bundy, Ted Bundy.
Bundy, yeah.
Right? So, and I was thinking, well, darn, you know, they showed Jeffrey Dahmer in Hotel Cortez. So, you know, during Devil's Night.
Yeah, they did. I was trying to think, did they show both? I think they might have showed both.
They showed Gacy. They didn't
Gacy,
show
that was the other one, yeah.
Yeah. So, so she knew what was coming, and that's why she wanted to go out her way, and that's what Moira called the coward's way out.
Yeah, which honestly, I can't say that I blame her. She got to go, and she got to be with 3 of her children, and she got to be with people that she knew and that she wanted to be with, instead of him taking her out wherever and not knowing her fate. And with that lady's track record, there ain't no telling where she would have ended up. So I can't say I blame her for doing it the way she did it. Yeah. Especially because, you know, after she sees, when she woke him up the one morning and he's aged 10 years, now we've explained his rapid aging. So we know that that actually happened, which on Moira's mother's grave, it did also say 2011. So that is confirmed our timeline now. So we are on the right timeline.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy that they decided to do that, to accelerate his age that way, because that to me is the most stupid explanation of why he is so old from then to now. Okay. I don't like it. I think it's stupid.
I had to explain it somehow.
And if he was going to have rapid age acceleration, I would expect it to be from the get-go, not from the time that he's a toddler to a teenager. That doesn't make sense.
Well, she said that she was getting him up for school. So, and we didn't see him when he went to bed. So we don't know exactly his age before he turned.
The last time that they showed him, he was probably about 3 years old or so. So maybe
right, but those were all scenes from season 1. So it showed us like what happened at the end of season 1 on the last episode. Then it jumped to right there.
So, so regardless of how you look at it, you're talking about a school-age child to a teenager, and that's a huge leap. And I don't like it as an explanation. That's their explanation, but I don't have to like it, and I don't like it.
Yeah, he just had something to get ready for. That I know it was dumb, but yeah, they had to think of something, I guess.
Who wouldn't want to have that sort of awesome growth spurt, you know, especially when you want to, like, you know, there's, you know what I'm saying? Like movies like 13 Going on 30, you know, where children are just in such a hurry to be adults, and they want to, you know, they want to go out and experience life and everything. But this, using that as an explanation to, you know, to shorten the timeline somehow, I think it was dumb.
Yeah, he was an early bloomer. You're right. And as if puberty is not hard enough on a kid, right?
Yeah.
Something I do want to point out about Michael that I did notice now because of this episode and maybe last episode too, but it really got my attention this episode. Now, we've already noticed, we've commented before about the pink in his eyes, right? Post-apocalyptic, let's say. He didn't have that before. Young Michael did not have that pink. Even after his growth spurt and all that, he did not have that pink around his eye that looked like eyeshadow. So I'm thinking that's probably more the whole demon coming out of him or something. I don't know. But I think it has something to do with probably what happened at the Black Mass and afterwards that maybe we don't even know yet, but it's something to do with maybe the change that's going on with him. And we see, let's go ahead and get into all this now. All right. Now we see the Archbishop and the two, or okay, I might be getting this wrong now. The Archbishop and the two cardinals of the Church of Satan that show up on his doorstep. They say they've seen all the signs and they've come from the west. They followed the star from the west. And that the murder of crows that had been circling the house and all that, just all the different signs.
So that to me was like an inversion of the birth of Jesus because of the three wise men traveling under the North Star.
Yes, I thought of that too. Thank you. Okay, so we're kind of going the same place here. Now, Black Mass, first of all, is kind of like a screw you to the whole just general Mass. That's like the satanic version of it. And it's supposed to mock the Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
So when they did theirs, we seen Miriam go out and get this girl to be their sacrifice. I'm not saying she was, but we're going to call her virgin because, virgin sacrifice for that. I can see this, especially considering. Now, something I thought was really interesting, something I thought was funny, first of all, is this guy just pulled this chick's heart out of her stomach. I don't even see how that's possible. Anyway,
it's not Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, okay?
Oh, right.
I had that, like when I was sitting there I couldn't watch the entire thing because I just don't like gruesome stuff like that. I just, still beating hearts and stuff, that just doesn't do anything
for you.
So for me, like hearing it and everything was enough. But I remember in Indiana Jones when the guy just reached in and, grabbed it out. Like that to me was like, yeah, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, but it's kind of like, a surgeon that makes all these different incisions to go in and get something out that's not really right there, but you got to make room and you got to,
it was almost. His hand didn't get there far enough to reach all the way up there.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, I hope because of my situation, I was like, oh my God, I hope this girl isn't pregnant. And they're like trying to pull that out. Oh my God. I was just, when I realized it was the heart, I was just like, oh, thank goodness, I was really, but I was, I was really, I didn't see it. I did another rewatch today and I still I asked my husband, I was like, he's eating it, isn't he? He's eating it. He's eating that heart, isn't he?
Okay, here's my Targaryen moment for the whole show.
I know. I went there too. I told him this is a total Daenerys moment right here.
Yes, I was like, he went straight up Dothraki on us.
But that's the thing is she
in the mouth it's official.
But it's different, okay? It's different when you see a still beating heart coming from a live person's body, and you know what just happened. Versus, they kill an animal and you see the heart in the hands. The mother, yeah, it's a different feeling altogether. And you're also talking about an animal's organs, and we eat animal organs. Well, maybe not everybody, but to eat an animal organ may not bother so many people, but to see again a human heart beating and Okay.
Oh, and he just sat there smiling and do like, this is good. I don't know.
Oh my
Chitlins count. I've had chitlins.
God.
Giblet gravy. I don't know. We eat some weird shit in this house. So there
I can't look, I can't even stomach liver and onions. So something like that, I couldn't do it. I couldn't watch, no, I had to listen to it and that was bad enough.
I don't know. I'm weird. Nah, I don't know. Maybe if I had munchies really bad. It depends what they're serving up with us.
Okay, well, better you than me, okay? Better
yeah,
you than me.
I know. We'll see how hungry I get. So, but yeah, okay. So it was a whole mockery though. And then we got the whole shadow behind him. And to me, the shadow just seemed kind of wimpy. I just want to say that for it supposedly being Satan, to me, it just should have been a lot scarier, and it really wasn't.
Okay, we did have the whole spreading the wings though before, and you and I considered the possibility that Michael was going to sprout some wings or something, but maybe it was actually talking about the shadow instead. So
yes.
So that was that's the first thing that came, and they had like the music. Oh my gosh, is that music not used in like every scary movie ever? Old scary movie ever?
Yeah, I know. I was like,
okay.
What are they jumping into?
I couldn't even remember the name of the darn song because I went back to look for it and it just reminded me of like, Damien, the Omen, right?
Yeah, I was about to say the Omen. That's what I was thinking of.
And I could have
sworn subtitles, and I meant to write it down, and then my thing started freezing. So
I could have sworn that, like, I don't know, like, yeah, okay.
Reese, you better watch out for what kind of gravy you have because sometimes they put them in the gravy, and yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, you better watch out what kind of gravy you eat. I know my granny used to make her gravy with all the organs from chicken and stuff.
My dad, turkey giblets.
Yep. That's what makes the best gravy. I'm just saying. You don't have to eat them. It's just in there.
To this day, I still can't. I can't do it. Like he makes good gravy, but you have to take everything out of it for me to eat the gravy.
Oh yeah, strain it.
Yeah, no, he didn't always do that. Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but like you got all the giblets, and that was the intention. I wasn't gonna eat the giblet. My husband's the same way. He puts the giblet. He eats them. I'm like, oh God, really? Like two of you? My
dad will eat any of it. He don't care. He's like, oh yeah, just give it to me. I'll eat it. I'm telling you, that's that generation gap again. I'm telling you. So okay, let's see what happened after that one now. Oh so yeah, I'm telling you, Connie, it's a Southern thing, especially down here in the South. They don't care. They don't waste nothing. Nothing.
No.
My granny used to go kill her own chickens too.
Yeah, that's not a big deal right there.
It's kind of freaky when you're a kid, though.
I didn't have to watch, thank goodness.
Yeah, they still run around even after their head's cut off.
Mm?
Yeah. Oh, you eat them too, yeah.
That was actually
Connie.
That was actually in Coven with Lalaurie. She cut the head off of the chicken and her daughter. She was trying to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Speaking of, just trying to tie it back to the show.
Yeah. No, that's when she first got started. That's what got her where she felt she kind of liked doing that stuff.
But it's kind of like Michael, right? You start on the low end of the evolutionary chain, and you work your way up.
And yeah, exactly. And Michael, he's kind of lost when these people first show up too, and we don't know what happened to the other two of them. We know he's going to end up with Miriam, right? But what happened to the other cardinal and the archbishop? I guess we'll find out later, huh? Do you think?
Honestly, I don't care. I really don't care because the chick was annoying. Okay.
Yeah, the girl with the little high voice. Yeah, she was kind of.
Yeah. But you know what? I like the idea that that Meade was not the only one who who seduced him into his belief system, because I think I think she could have done the job, but I like that it was more than just her, because it doesn't make her seem nearly so bad in a way.
Right. And now we know how he ends up with her now, too, because it even says that Vivian, when she starts telling her story later, that this is how he kind of fell in with these people and why he's no longer here. And she says that this is when I decided that I was going to try and kill him. And, and so he kind of lost his real mother at this point and fell into the surrogate mother category. He actually tried to kill Vivian at this point, like he did the couple that had bought the house.
Yep.
Oh, man. I don't remember the two women's name. It said their names.
I don't think that they actually.
It said it on the subtitles. It doesn't. Yeah. They don't say their names, but it does give them. One of them was Grace. The other one, I remember it now. Grace and something else.
But I think the point of it was for us to see what he can do, because Ben described it as making them cease to exist.
Right. He literally destroyed their souls.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then we see that happen with Vivian. So it was kind of like our introduction. That's what they were for, was to give us that introduction, because it was going to come up later that he was going to try to do that to his own mom.
Alicia, she has a great question. Does anyone besides me think that the murder house is the sanctuary that Michael is talking about? Okay. Before, we had actually wondered if Robichaud's was where the witches were before, but of course our opinions have changed about that. That's actually a really, really good question. It could be. The only thing that makes me kind of wonder about that, I'd be more inclined to think Hotel Cortez is now, because I would think he has more. I would think he would have more power there, because of how he was able to, how March was just so easily swayed and given into him, and like, oh, Queenie, you should go with him, and just how he bowed down to him, because March owns the Hotel Cortez. I mean, that is his domain, and he is just like the king of that place. And for him to easily just give in to him, I would think that more than talking her house.
But you're talking about two different. Okay, so let's talk about the differences between them too, right? Because in the Hotel Cortez, there was a lot more actual evil souls there, and in this house, there aren't as many evil people. If you think about it, there's people that were there as families, and they have true affection for each other. Whether it was in life or in death. I feel like the Cortez would make more sense in, with the evil surrounding. Like, people go to hotels to do bad things sometimes, that they wouldn't do. Las Vegas. Okay. I'm just going to say that there's, when you live in a place like that, you go to Las Vegas and you do these crazy things, and you leave it here and you expect to go home, and now you're cleansed, you're refreshed, you're good to go after you've sowed your wild oats. And that's kind of like how I see the Hotel Cortez versus, the murder house, is that, it's like where the dirty deeds are kind of being done. Not nearly as many in the house, even though you can make a few arguments that some bad things happen there.
And something else they said too, that I think is probably going to be the biggest giveaway to it, and I'm going to say something else that she just said too, which I'll say what she said too. A murder house still does still have edge though, because it's built on the Hellmouth, according to the show. True. That's where we were talking about the portals and all. But they did say that whatever was evil that was lurking there and what was inside Tate and everything left in Michael, and left when Michael left.
Yep.
So whatever that darkness was, that evil there, it's gone now, right?
And not just that, the if you want to talk about the actual temperature, because Vivian did say something about the temperature being, you know, much hotter while Michael was there. That wasn't the case. A house like that would be unlivable for anybody, and they would notice that right away. So it wasn't always a problem with the house. It was only with Michael that this was noticeable. And like you said, when he left, it all left with him.
Right.
But that's what that other cardinal, the female, along with Meade, that's what she was talking about the temperature of the house, how hot it was in there. You know, that was because of Michael. That wasn't for any other reason. So
right. Yeah. Yeah, and it made me wonder too, just about the general temperature, because like I think about like how hot it is in California and the Santa Ana winds and other stuff, and it made me kind of wonder if all that was kind of around that, you know, and where it was at and everything, and if like after all that happened, if it kind of changed it, you know.
It's not, no, in that part of California, and I'm from Southern California originally, it's not that hot, and it's not, there's no reason for it to ever be that hot all the time in any, you know, in any place. Now you imagine an old house like that's probably, you know, may not have the best air conditioning or something like that, if you want to talk about that kind of stuff. But in the supernatural sense, you know, that heat was with Michael and no other time.
Yeah, because we didn't really see it whenever it was other people living there, because Vivian, like where she's always wearing her sweaters and everything, they had fires going constantly. So yeah, I guess it really wasn't in that house.
Yeah.
Other than when it was with him.
Yeah. I mean, who else would wear like a rubber suit in a hot house like that anyway? Come on. That's
right? Yeah. I know, right? I know. So okay, let's move along now. What else do we have going on here? So Michael's help me out, Stacey. Michael went on. We know that he's going on now. We got a little backstory from Vivian. We have Vivian and Ben actually kind of finally made their peace now. We know that she hasn't been talking to him because Ben's actually been working with Michael this whole time. He carried on that father role kind of, which she asked him to. That didn't make no sense to me. She wanted him to be the father to Michael. He picked up that role. As soon as Michael came over and after he found Constance had killed himself, and he seemed like he actually truly did care for Constance, which I had a moment for him. I really felt bad for him. But he stepped up to the role that Vivian wanted him to take finally, even though earlier, you know, he when he tried to do it when Michael was a baby, he got killed for it. But, you know, when he finally stepped in the shoes, she ignored him for it. She shunned him. What do you think about all that going on?
Yeah, that was a pretty neat exchange between Vivian and Ben, because they hadn't talked. You know, I mean, she died in childbirth, so it's not like, you know, they had like deep conversations about, you know, what to do with Michael and all of that should she die. So, but it's good that he wanted to pick that up. But it also felt to me.
Well, she did. She told him, she made herself visible to him whenever, because he was going to kill him.
Yeah, at the end. But to me, I never thought that he was going to assume that role. It kind of felt like when I was rewatching season 1, I felt like he was going to do the same thing that he was doing with Tate, right? That where he was just that role by proxy as a counselor, as someone who can, you know, give him guidance, even though Tate wasn't receptive to it, Michael was. So there was a difference in how they both reacted to the same sort of counseling by the same person, just different phases in his life and their life. I mean, we're talking teenage boys, you know.
Oh yeah, but Tate didn't want nothing to do with him.
Tate didn't want anything to do with them. He resisted, you know, he resisted all of that, and then, you know, his goal was Violet, but Michael was truly accepting of it, and he wanted this sort of male figure in his life to, you know, to spend those simple joys, is what Ben said, with each other, and, you know, to do a Rubik's Cube and to play catch. And he didn't have that with Constance, because Constance was constantly shuffling guys in and out of her life. I mean, he wasn't going to get any sort of, you know, stable situation with her, no matter what, no matter if she thought she was born to be a mother or not. You know, there was just not going to be stability, period. And he didn't get that. And, you know, it's interesting that he killed that priest, which was a father.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. I forgot about the priest.
So it seems like anyone who was a caregiver to him, he turned them away, except for Meade, and that was kind of his destiny. Didn't matter what Constance's destiny was supposed to be, or Ben's destiny as some sort, as a father figure to him or whatever. You know, Michael had his own destiny. He had his own path that he needed to follow. And that's what I got from the entire exchange from season 1 to now.
And I like the fact that you brought up the Rubik's Cube too, because it showed just how brilliant he is, which is scary, actually, I think. And he didn't just solve it. He did weird little patterns on it, you know?
They were crosses.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was about to say. He did
instead of the solid sides, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he couldn't do a full cross either way, I thought was interesting, because we don't know which way it would have been. If it would have been upside down or a regular cross. So to me, it can show that he could go either way at that point. You know, we don't know if he's going to be good or evil. I think he has potential for both. And at that point, especially, he could have been molded either way. And I think kind of the way he was shunned a little bit, you know, where he was reaching out and they kind of just turned their shoulder on him, you know, I think that's kind of what turned him more towards leading up to the Black Mass.
It was Tate that messed him up, because Tate rejected him. Number one, you didn't come from my sack, you know.
Yeah.
Basically telling him that.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, like he refused to believe that was his son. I mean, you could be sitting there looking at your mirror image and say, no, that kid's not mine. People do it all the time, you know. But with Tate, again, he was a teenager. He's a perpetual teenager, and, you know, is he going to accept that at all during his journey? I would hope so. I would, because it seems to me that all Michael is really looking for is a father's love in all of this. You know, even if his father is Satan, or his father is, you know, the evil of the house, or a father figure in Ben, or a father in a priest, he's looking for a father's love. And I think that, you know, something like that's ultimately what might turn him around, is that sort of acceptance. And
even though he had the accelerated growth, he still may have the mind and the heart of a child, a very small child.
And that's a significant, that's significant with regard to, you know, child development too, is, you know, that sort of, you know, acceptance versus rejection.
Yes.
It's high on, you know, to go into psychology, some people may be, you know, it's on, you know, the hierarchy of needs. It's up there. You have to be acknowledged as a person, as part of something bigger than yourself. And that's why, and we saw that in cult too, right? Is, you know, you have people, they specifically recruit people that don't have these sorts of good influences in their lives, and they've you know, they've been shunned or rejected, or they've rejected themselves, and they go into these bad things. You know, I think that cult was kind of an introduction to what we could expect with Michael, that, you know, that sort of rejection that he's kind of experiencing, you know, he's trying to find it in a satanic cult. So,
yeah.
And as the leader, they put him as the leader. And then again, in the warlock coven, So that's all he's trying to do, is he's just trying to find that
His
love and
place
acceptance
in the world, a place to fit in, a family.
It has nothing to do with the women, though, because he had Constance and she showed him constant love, right? Or at least she thought so. And
but she left him and abandoned him too when she went next door and killed herself.
Right. But what he never had was that of the, of the male sort. So again, I really think that that's what he's seeking, and that's what's probably going to get him to turn around.
I'm wondering, and I still think that his real father we've probably seen in some form. We just don't realize it, like we were talking about before. So I'm wondering if he's kind of getting that approval already, and maybe one of the warlocks or something. I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to unfold later.
Yeah, Ariel accepted him from the get-go, from the time that he saw the video. It was just 100%,
acceptance. But he seems to have ulterior motives.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, I agree. But that's like, okay, Cordelia was talking about with Ariel, though. This is my problem with Ariel. That he has no place else to go, that he just wants him for personal gain, that he's reached his peak, basically. That he needs Michael to go any further, that a Grand Chancellor is as high as he's going to get, So Ariel seems like too obvious to me. That's why I kind of was leaning more towards Baldwin. Baldwin seems the one that would be, and like we were talking about Baldwin playing both sides, where he's kind of, infiltrating the witches a little. It just seems like nobody's looking at him, so it seems like it would be a little more interesting that way. He's too happy.
I still think it's me, and the reason why I say that is, number one, she's a robot, and robots inherently are not male or female.
Yeah, no, I like that one too, and with her showing up to for the black mask and everything,
she can fulfill both roles in a perfect way that nobody else can, because they have these human prejudices and these thoughts and these feelings that she just doesn't have. So she's just, the ultimate caregiver, because it's just, 100% acceptance without judgment.
The only thing that makes me kind of wonder about her now is because she was present when the shadow appeared, and she seemed in all of it too. So I don't know now with her, unless maybe I don't know. She seemed just as impressed though with the whole black mass ceremony and everything that was going on. I don't know. It'll kind of be interesting just to see. Chat, what do you guys think? Who would you think, or who would you like to see end up being his father, if you could see anybody? As far as characters we've seen, at least, If
it is truly a character, who would it
be? Yeah.
Because the characters are saying no. Vivian said specifically, no, it's the evil of this house is his father. Okay. But if, what I mean? It
manifests itself into a being.
Again, with the Immaculate Conception, right? So you have a spirit father. Great. That's awesome. But, with him being a human, he had a human father, which is Tate. And we know that Tate wants to kind of stay on the straight and narrow. And especially now that he's got Violet back. That was a sweet little moment too.
And let me have a Tate moment. Yay. See, I told you Tate wasn't really bad. It was just the devil made him do it. Oh, so yes. And Madison had her pity moment, I guess you could say, and felt bad for them, and she wanted to help them out.
She had a few. Remember how I said that it's the only way that I would be okay with her in this season, because I just didn't. I don't like the snarkiness and it's constant with her, and I liked that she showed a little bit of, you know,
she finally got her
emotion.
redemption.
Yeah, you know, that she's going to take advantage of her third life, and she's going to, you know, do good with it instead. So I feel good about that, except for the fact that, you know, not that we're trying to jump around here. When Behold said, well, hey, look who brought you back. So you may be beholden to him. You know, he needs a favor, he may call on you. And that could, you know, that might cause her to involuntarily not be a good person from
and
that.
See, this is something now that bringing that up, this is something that kind of worries me as far as the fate of Madison, Queenie, and Misty. As far as where are they now? Because we've seen Madison still, okay? All right, now she did that. That could have redeemed her, maybe even saved her soul. We haven't seen Misty or Queenie yet, though. What if he's kind of reneged on the bargain sort of thing that happened with them and basically vaporized their souls like he did with that couple and attempted to do with Vivian?
Could be. I wouldn't put it past him.
Right? Especially because he kind of owns them right now. Now, Madison, that by her just doing that small act of kindness might have literally saved her soul.
Yeah.
Took it out of his hands at least, you know?
Could have.
And Red, no, you do not even need to rewatch the entire series for this season. This season is standalone on its own. If you want to re-geek over it, I recommend watching Murder House, and I recommend watching Coven again, because they're both intertwined in this season. You want to even go a little further, throw in Hotel just for fun, because we do see so far just a little. Well, we see a little bit of Queenie and James March from Hotel. That's really about as far as we got, unless you count Billie Dean, but she's in both. So yeah. But it's pretty good standing alone so far. It's holding up. What else do we have going on in this episode?
There was a lot, and when we get finished talking about the main events, I've got some stuff that.
Okay, well, start hitting me with some stuff then.
That I researched.
Okay, I love it when you start doing research. Come on.
Do you? Do you really? Okay.
I do. I really do.
Okay, so this episode was actually very religious overtones, and I caught on to a lot of them. So first of all, you know, you're talking about the priest. They talked about Amityville, that the murder house was an Amityville reject. So that was obviously a movie, and the house was set in Amityville, New York, and it was supposedly an evil house too. So, you know, you have those sorts of
stories behind it, guys. Check that out too.
If you've never seen Amityville Horror, the original one, I suggest that, not the remake. Okay, don't watch, no, unless you're into remakes, but you'll get more out of the original. And then the reference to a shitty Miss Cleo. I think a lot of people might remember Miss Cleo, who was a psychic back in the 90s, and so I remember seeing her commercials on
Psychic to the Stars. Yeah. Yeah, but literally, she was like a shitty Miss Cleo then, because she claims to be a psychic to the stars too.
Something else that I noticed was, of course, in the closet, the broken mirrors. A broken mirror, you know, 7 years of bad luck or whatever. So it's supposed, and to me that means probably the number of years that Constance had Michael, and that where he was probably a problem to her. So if you're superstitious, the broken mirror thing probably caught your eye.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what else. Okay, so Vivian, when she starts talking about Michael, she starts talking about the beast with 10 horns and 7 heads. And
yes, okay, good. I was going to pull that up. I'm glad you're doing it for me.
that is straight out of Revelation 13. So if anybody wants to read it in its entirety, just to see what she's actually referring to, Revelation 13 is really the entire book of Revelation is just fascinating reading. It's high level, complex stuff, and it's just amazing. And the book, it's pertinent to this show. So if you decide for fun that you want to read the book of Revelation just to understand where some of this is going and what they're talking about, I would highly suggest that. I also got the overtones of, Damien the Omen, right? The movie. There's also when the Archbishop of the Church of Satan walked in, he was reciting another passage from the book of Revelation, and it actually was Revelation 6:12. So if you want to read that, it's about the sixth seal, and
Oh,
the sixth seal, so that again the second coming of Christ, which was interesting because number one, you're talking about a guy who worships Satan, but he is he's reciting something that's biblical in nature. So that just kind of was weird to me, but you can look at it from two different perspectives. You can look at it from the Christian believer's perspective, or you can look at it as the non-believer's perspective, and you can kind of draw similar conclusions.
You know what it reminds me of? There was a movie probably back around 1990 something called The Sixth Sign with Demi Moore in it. I used to have the movie. And it was basically, she was pregnant and had to, it was about the whole six seals and all that. But it was about the end of days, and it was stopping the apocalypse type thing. But that's what it came down to. Good movie. Check it out if you're into that sort of stuff. But that's what it had to do with it. But the whole thing that they were trying to do, though, was stop the apocalypse because it was bringing in the, yeah. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
So, so there were those, and this isn't the only time that they've quoted out of the book of Revelation at all, and I think these are the ones where we just kind of pointed to it. And I'm not going to take the time to read from those because it's complex, and I'm not going to go and give any interpretations or anything like that. I feel like this is something that I just, I should point people to if they're curious and if they want to know why these two particular people are having these particular thoughts about Michael, the same person. Okay. So I feel like Revelation is absolutely pertinent to this, not just talking about the entire theme of the apocalypse and everything, but specifically pertaining to him and his situation. I think that and remember in episode 1 we saw 666, number of the beast, right?
We seen it in this episode too. It was right behind his ear, where it's kind of like a raised burn.
Right. So so this kind of stuff, it may make people feel uncomfortable, but if you didn't recognize where these quotes came from, you would just think that they sound kind of cool and descriptive, but those are the chapters that they're derived from.
A couple things too that I just thought about too, where Madison was complaining in the graveyard about when she died, she wanted her bones to be put in Studio 7 at Paramount Studios. Some interesting things I found. First of all, at Studio 7, Ryan Murphy, he did his series Nip Tuck. I thought that one was really cool just because Ryan Murphy does this show also. If you watch that show, that was really cool. Especially because I thought, at least, there was an actor on that named Julian McMahon, and he played Cole on Charmed, and on there he was the source of all evil. So that was just kind of a little funny thing, I thought, at least. Also, where I got my son's name from, my son is named Cole, after that character, just because he's really hot. I just loved it. Okay, anyways, I just love that whole show and everything. Anyways, something else that was filmed there was Angel, Wayne's World, a couple of Star Treks, Coming to America. We had Alfred Hitchcock was filmed there.
The Man Who
Knew Too Much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. Wow.
White Christmas.
White Christmas. Yes. Thank you. Roswell was filmed there too.
Yeah, there were a lot of movies, and I was looking for anything in particular that might be related to this particular.
Could not find anything related to Emma Roberts or Julia Roberts or her dad, Eric Roberts. I tried, but I did think that the whole Ryan Murphy, I think it was more a nod to him than anything else.
Yeah, I think so too.
Now to go over, just to keep you up to date with where we were talking about the 36 spirits in the house, as of what we know of at the end of season 1, I'm going to go over just to keep you a little up to date with what we know. Bear with me. I'm horrible at reading out loud. Okay. We had Violet Harmon. I'm going down a list, so they're not in the order I would do. Tate Langdon. Moira. Hugo Langdon, which was Constance's husband. That's who Moira is always banging in the basement. Hayden, which was the student that Ben knocked up. Should we count the baby she was pregnant with? I don't know if they're counting that one or not. Travis, who was Constance's boyfriend, the young guy that was not so smart actor guy. Charles and Nora Montgomery, that was Madison's, I guess, probably great-great-grandpa, something like that. He was the doctor that was doing all the abortions and all that in the basement, and had the wife that we later see, looks like Misty Day, same actress. The Infantata, that is otherwise known as Thaddeus. That was their child that Charles Montgomery kind of put back together and made like a little Frankenstein monster weird kid with the teeth and stuff that hung out in the basement. We had the redheaded twins. Their names are actually Troy and Brian. Yeah. Larry's family, that's his wife and 2 daughters. So that's 3 right there. Beauregard, which is Constance's son. Chad, he's one of my favorites. He's the queen that goes crazy over the apples. And Patrick was his boyfriend. We had the 2 dead nurses.
Yeah.
We had the murder reenactors, the ones that showed up at the house and tried to kill Zoe and her mom, Vivian. Yeah.
So that's
we had the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was her name. Yeah. Which is actual murder victim that they just kind of worked into the show there.
She didn't really die at the house, so.
Yeah, she didn't really die at the house. Not really. And then we got, of course, Zoe and Ben Harmon, which they don't even put on this list, but that was 24, and then Zoe and Ben would be 26. And that's a list that they had up as of season 1. So.
And then you got to figure, so there was about a decade or so, I guess, where the house may have been. I don't know how they explained, because Madison even asked, how long has this house been unoccupied? So it could be that there were some since then that
we're in 2018
they're not
now.
They're not able to account for in any of the episodes because of that time. Like, they're trying to make a continuance of that story, and that people continued to die from the time that the Harmons, and where that story ended to now. I think that what they're trying to do is say, look, people continued to die there even after all of that. I think that's
really And for fact, the realtor even says the house has been empty and, you know, abandoned for many years now. So we don't know what all's been going on there. And yeah, and of course, like we were talking about the couple, Grace and her wife, I can't remember her name now. But so that's 2 more, that's 28. So we're only up to 28. So that's still 8 people unaccounted for that we have no idea.
Constance's little daughter and then
Rose, yeah, okay, 7 people. We're missing 7 people.
Yeah.
And we don't even know because they talk. There still could be so many more because when they're digging the graveyard up in the back, they're talking about that it's more crowded there than it is in the catacombs in Paris, and you can see all the body parts that are just dangling around in the dirt. Someone that I thought would kind of pop up. I was okay. I know he wasn't going to be on the show this season, but I thought we would have at least some kind of something. Was Larry. I thought they would tell us something. Because to me, I thought he would be there to die because he wanted to be with his wife and children, you know?
And he also wanted to be with Constance. And
yeah, he wanted her bad. But it seemed like he kind of made his peace with that after he talked to his wife, though.
I could see that, yeah.
Because his wife finally made herself known to him. She wouldn't show herself to him until after, now I can't think of his name. I just said it too. Constance's boyfriend showed her, Travis, after Travis showed herself, when he was playing with the girls in the basement, that was the first time that Larry had seen his wife and girls in several years. And you know, he was like, why now? Why are you showing yourself now? And she was like, I figured it was time, you know. So it was kind of like she was starting to finally forgive him. So, you know, I just thought we'd have some kind of answer to it. I don't know. There was just something else I thought we'd hear a little bit more about too, is I thought we'd have some kind of connection between Madison or some explanation between Madison and her Montgomery connection to the house. And
that could still be down the line.
You think?
Because we thought she was being sent there, just like she kind of thought, I think.
She said she was expendable to the council. That's why she was sent there.
Right. So she may have thought that she was supposed to be stuck there, but, you know, it could have been her good deeds that kept her from it. Who knows?
Do you think possibly that's why she was able to come and go from the house?
Maybe.
Like, because that's the first time anyone was allowed to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe they expect her to come back.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? When we talk about the evil that might have left with Michael, look, if they were in that house helping those spirits the way that they were, I don't think that they would have a problem with them leaving.
Yeah.
Because if the evil's not there, then what's going to hold them there? Not
right. The evil's gone. They told him that they bought the house for them. So, you know, the coven owns the house. We bought it for you. You don't ever have to worry about anyone bothering you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
it is possible. Maybe whatever was tying them there, even, you know, they don't have anything to worry about anymore. Even now where Tate was, everything that was making Tate bad is gone. Violet's officially forgiven him. So he's got his redemption.
We thought that was going to go a little differently.
Huh?
We thought that was going to go a little differently.
I know. I kind of still wish it would have went a little differently.
I thought it was pretty cheesy.
Yeah, I did too. This whole episode, it was kind of a little cheesy to me. I'm not gonna lie, but I think that it had to happen this way for a lot of reasons. Because I think there had to be explanations for things, and it was to set us up for other things, if that makes sense.
And Madison's redemption. I think that was
Yeah.
probably the biggest part of it. Maybe that's what Cordelia actually sent her there for, was to, maybe it was for her redemption more so than, recon.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much. You're probably right there. And like we said later on, we know that Madison is there. Maybe it's not like, because, all right, during Cordelia's vision, Madison is the only name she doesn't cry out. Maybe it's not because she's not there, she doesn't need her, whatever. Maybe it's because maybe she's not supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Well, Madison also said that that Cordelia, wouldn't send them there without a good reason. And, again, of all people, Madison, aside from the Montgomery ties, which she never really learned about except for Billy D saying, I've met some Montgomerys in my time, and nobody even questions that. Like, Madison she wasn't curious about it at all. Like, oh, okay, so what, like it just over her head. There was no response. It was just complete, nothing. Like, she wasn't even curious about her family. So once I saw that, I knew that wasn't going to be part of it. But I felt like maybe Cordelia, had this redemption in mind for Madison, because what I remember when she came back, after her first death, she kind of did have her good moments, not as many, but she had some good moments. And I think that Cordelia remembered that and said, okay, maybe I can, get her on the straight and narrow with this. So I think that's possible.
Right. And Cordelia does have vision, so maybe she's seeing something too that she's not telling, you know?
Yep.
I just think there's something more that we're missing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's just a reason to everything, and I just don't buy that we're not. I just think there's something.
But you got to remember, the house is also in Madison's name to go back to at some point too. I mean, she was a buyer, right?
Well, they put it under the name James. That was their Mr. and Mrs. James, is what they said, and that's neither their names.
As a buyer, even if it's an assumed name or whatever, as a buyer, she still has the ability as a legal owner, no matter what.
Right.
To
and that's who they came in as. It was them two that came in.
Yeah.
And that might be one of her aliases because she is a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
all I kept thinking was like Rick James.
Right? I know. Oh, I love the whole, we're like the worst possible version of Seal and Heidi Klum. Oh, that was great. No, I love the whole chemistry between them two. I can't wait to see just how the warlocks are going to take the whole news that Behold brings to them, especially because of how he reacted when John Henry tried to tell him, because he just thought it was just pure jealousy. But, and I know Ariel's going to have a bad reaction to it.
Yep.
And
yeah, that's not going to go well at all. Ariel is going to be, he is 1,000% Team Michael.
Oh, so, yeah.
He's in too deep.
And I think it is that he just wanted, like he said, they just wanted to be on top for so bad and for so long that they'll put their money behind anybody at this point, Yeah. Yeah. Any last ideas as far as this episode is going forward?
No, I really. It was an interesting. I'll be honest with you. The episode was better than I thought it was going to be. Okay.
Me too.
I was like, oh my gosh, how are they going to do this without it just being like a total like wah 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 kind of thing, It and I feel like it didn't exactly fall flat. It was a little bit more exciting than I thought it would be. A little more gruesome than I thought it would be. And there were some, kind of heartwarming, touchy-feely moments. I'm not I'm not really used to having with American Horror Story, so I was kind of like thrown off by that. But I like being thrown off, and I feel like I think they did some good, good justice to bringing back the murder house people. I think it was better than I expected.
Yeah. No, I agree. And for being as, I think what it is I just was too excited to get here. And then when I finally got here, it was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
And I got the moments of satisfaction because it's like, and then the moments of awe, and then the moments of, that's it. So it was, I just had too many mixed emotions this episode. So I'm satisfied, but I'm left wanting too much more, I think. So yeah, it was good. It was good. I'm okay with it, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm never satisfied. There's never enough when it comes to Jessica Lange. She's just that badass, I think, especially on the show. She's just always just that badass. It's just with Fiona and Constance, especially. Those are like my two favorite characters she does. I think probably the other one would be during Freak Show, and I can't think of her name in that one now off the top of my head because I'm trying to.
Look, whenever Jessica Lange gets some alcohol in her system and she turns up the music, when she turns up the music and she starts dancing, it's going to be a good thing. Okay? She dances alone a lot, and
she does.
That
one with some whiskey and some Virginia Slims.
Yeah, I mean, like as soon as I saw that, I was like, uh-oh. Someone's gonna die, because that's what happened when she was in her hotel room when she was trying to find, the cure for cancer or whatever from that one guy from I think like a pharmaceutical or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was her husband's pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, and she was in there, she had the music up, there's alcohol, she's dancing, everything's all jolly, and then dude comes in and he was gone. So someone's going to die whenever she does that, and this time it was her. Just saying.
Yep. Well, she killed him first. Yeah, sucked all the life out of him. Yeah, that was great.
That was pretty wicked.
To answer your question, Cammie, which episodes, I think you meant seasons, what are the most important seasons? Murder House and Coven. Those are the ones that are brought back this season for Apocalypse. And let's go ahead and do some shouts out real quick to just people that stopped by. And thank you, Peter Griffin. You are always so much fun in these. Kimmy O, thank you. Marie, thank you. Alicia stopped by. We had Johnny stop by. Johnny Be Crazy. We had Connie. Always so much fun talking to Connie.
We had Mackenzie for a little while too.
Yeah.
We had Mackenzie.
Who else? I'm scrolling. Just looking at
Lady Wolverton, Alicia.
Yep, Jen. Thank you, Jen.
Who else?
Steven Stark was here too. Thank you, Steven. Anybody else I forgot? If I forgot you, I'm sorry. I'm trying to spin and it's going really fast. I know I'm missing people. Happy birthday, Brandon.
Yay.
Red. Thank you, Red Witch.
Yes.
Today's my husband's birthday. He's so kind to me, and he's in there sleeping right now.
Aww.
Poor guy.
Yeah, yes. Murder House is a whole season. It's 12 episodes. I hope you got the time.
Oh, it's worth it, Cammie.
Yeah.
It's the name. It's Return to Murder House was the name of this episode because we went back there for this whole episode. It was really good. And our next episode, I believe, is called Traitor. And it looks really good because we are going to see some more of Dinah. It looks like they're going to her for some help. Cordelia is, at least. And we're going to see Joan Collins again. That looks like so much fun.
Okay, so that caught my attention.
Yes.
Because I wondered if she was going to be Evie or not.
If she's going to be what? Evie?
If she's going to be Evie. Okay. I want to say, like, still, I was holding on to hope that she didn't really die. Okay. And
I do too.
I saw that, I went crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, Evie's a witch. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. I was thrilled.
Oh, Marie didn't hear me say it, so let me say it. I'm sorry, Marie. I'll get your name right next time.
Oh my gosh, we totally saw you. We told you. We gave you so much love too.
Yeah, I know. I just got I got to say her name right. So that's why she didn't hear me. Oh,
It's your southern accent.
it is. It is. I'm telling you. Oh, yeah, 10 and 12 episodes like the good old days of Game of Thrones. That's right, Kimmy. I miss them days when you had normal seasons of TV shows.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, them seasons that go to like 22 episodes are killing me. I'm doing that with Gotham, and it's just driving me nuts.
But you know what? This season's almost over.
I know, we only have 4 left. 4, so we're getting to the end now, and it's just like, whew, it's getting a little exciting now. So yeah, I just I don't know exactly how they're going to wrap this up now, because it's like we started off one way and then we started going into another thing, and it's just yeah.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. American Horror Story, you need to learn how to go out with a bang. They have not learned the fine art of that. And they start out so strong, and then it goes poop, bloop.
Yeah. It does. Well, but I'll tell you what, though, they like to round it off nicely, though, because it always seems to come back and even off and leave you satisfied. But it's like, I don't know. Some seasons are different than others, I think. Some seasons just wow me and make me really happy by the end, and other seasons are like, oh my God, is this going to just, is this going to make sense to me or finish off right, or is it going to end, or I don't know. I think it just depends on what's going on that season. This one is just like, I feel like we're kind of going a little all over the place, actually. In a good way, but in a way that I don't quite know how I feel yet. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it more in a fan way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like at first, it was just like, okay, this is interesting. And then I started just geeking out because I seen the witches. So yeah, now I just don't know what's going to happen. Next week, I'm really excited because it's going to be about the witches again. We're back to that again. And I really, for a fact, we're going to see some voodoo going on. And that's going to make me happy because we get to see Dinah in her element. And it seems like that's what the whole traitor theme is going to be about, because somebody's going to turn against one of their own, right?
So if we think back to Coven, remember Queenie did that too. She kind of turned her back on the Coven and went over to the voodoo side. So,
and we see Papa Legba again.
Papa Legba, so out of everyone, he was the one, aside from Evie, that I was pretty excited to see.
Me too. That was like my 2 favorite cameos, I guess, in the preview.
Yeah, it looks like the same guy.
Yeah. No, it was the same actor, the same guy. Yeah, no, I totally geeked out then. That was, for fact, I'd say that was my number 2 moment of the whole season, other than Constance. But see, I'm getting all tongue-tied now.
Her name is Miriam Mead in this season.
Or Devil Mama.
Devil Mama.
Yep. Yeah, I think we probably wrapped about everything up. Can you think of anything else?
Ooh. Just a reminder, now that Marie is out here too, if anyone really just wants to do some reading about Revelation to get some insight into this particular season, I would suggest that. I'm probably going to go back and read a little bit more, and I'm not going to like dive in neck deep, but I'm just going to like familiarize myself, because it just feels like when they're reciting these things, it's like, wait a second, I know that from somewhere. So Revelation is been a huge part of this season, and I'm actually a little surprised at that, though. I'm a little surprised at it, but it's a pleasant surprise.
I actually was reading about it too.
It's good reading.
Let's see. It was actually talking about what the different heads were. I don't think it's the witches anymore. It definitely has to do the 7 heads of the dragon and the 10 horns with the 10 horns hang on, I'll get this right.
It depends. So it depends on which Bible version you're reading from.
Yeah,
so
there is a lot of different versions.
Yeah, so it depends on which version. So I tried to find the one that was closest to what what Vivian was saying, and it looked like it was the not Vivian, but the whatchamacallit. Well, the Archbishop was reading from the New American Standard Bible version, and Vivian was probably reading from the King James Version, from what I can tell. Just the way that it's worded. But I could be wrong.
What I was looking at though was it was talking about like it being like famine and war and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And just the different sort of blasphemy or not. I just read that. I'm trying to find it now. It was basically like the destruction of the world is what it came down to. I'm not going to find it now.
That's what this entire book is. It's about, the end and the second coming of Christ.
That's going to drive me crazy because I know I just sat there and read it.
But if you want a short version, if anyone wants a short version, just read about the 7 seals. That would be
there. Yeah, there we go. Just do that. Something else I did want to mention. In the background, in the backyard, first of all, Constance kept burying the dead little animals and planting roses to where she finally got sick of the smell of roses. We were mentioning her daughter's name was Roses. So I thought it was kind of funny that she got sick of the stench of roses and her daughter's name being that. And she ended up with a whole backyard full of roses. Also, we seen when they were in the backyard dangling from a tree, it was like a mobile of bones. This I thought is kind of funny because witches use bones a lot. They're using voodoo. They're using magic a lot. Let me just say that. They're using magic a lot. Now, you can take different bones and bind them together. And let's say if you want to summon a dragon, you would take like bat wings, serpent, lizards, different bones like that, and bind them together to summon a dragon, or different animal parts and bind them together to summon a griffin. It just depends what you combine, so it made me think of the different combination of bones. But it could be for familiar, or it could be shape shifting, just the different. It depends on what combination of bones they were. So I just thought it was really interesting that they had the animal bones hanging from the tree there. Yeah, no, it's not based on the Bible, but it's got a lot of biblical references. Yeah. If anything, it's got a lot of revelations in it because it's got the apocalypse going on. Yeah, anything else you'd like to add before we get done here? That was the last thing I could think of I wanted to say was about the roses and the bones.
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. I mean, I took like 4 pages of notes for this one episode just because there was so much to it with the references and with the dialogue and with the remembering stuff and just putting notes in general. it's a lot of note taking.
Yeah, it is. It really is. All right then. Thank you guys for coming out as always, and we'll see you next week. Yeah, definitely Dante's Inferno, like Stacey said. And we'll see you next week to find out what the trader's all about back with our witches again. So yeah. And hopefully we'll see some more apocalypse going on. Revengeance. Stacey, you want to say any shout outs or anything?
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being so patient at the beginning of our stream while we tried to figure out our audio issues. So glad that a lot of you stayed with us. So yay, you're the best.
And I thank you too so much, and we'll see you guys next week. You are definitely the best, and definitely don't forget to wear black on Wednesdays and check out American Horror Story. Cammie, I'm going to get you on that one. Have a good week, guys.